The artist William Merritt Chase, in a personal chat with a writer friend, remarked, "I regard Sargent as a wonderfully gifted man in many ways. He may be inaccessible at times, for example. He has no use for art dealers, but to those who know him, he is a charming companion. He is a remarkable linguist and has travelled widely. He would have made a great musician had he not focused his attention upon art. I have listened to him playing the piano almost by the hour, and giving the most beautiful improvisations, an endless bewildering flood of pure melody, flying carelessly off his fingertips. It is a great pity, I have thought more than once, that some instrument could not be devised to record such music for all time." Amid a host of amiable friends, artists, musicians, writers, critics, he leads an almost ideal life. Thus, before Sargent had reached 30, he was on the high road to fame. His pictures were eagerly welcomed at the salons, to be bought in afterward by collectors at fancy prices. It would almost seem as if fortune had been too generous, giving him position, wealth, and success without a struggle. And yet the struggle was constantly there. He fought with brush and canvas for some of the results that he achieved. He has been known to rub out a head 30 or 40 times, but the final result with its easy-flowing, confident line gave no hint of the struggle which produced it. The watercolor medium for artists became a more popular art form, slowly over time, as it originally became a way to quickly realize a theme one would like to pursue or fill out an idea. But by the time the 19th century rolled around, its use was becoming an art form, complete in itself. So watercolors as a medium gained a lot of steam. Artists like Swedish-born André Zorn would start his career by first studying under his mentor, using the medium, and he gained the skills to eventually become better equipped for oils. Drawing well and making careful preparation is a key to the use of any quick drying medium, as it is very useful toward technical excellence regarding planning ahead, working on dry or wet surfaces as timing and practice become sharper. In our current presentation, we will focus on that aspect of Sargent's genius. But more than that, it is in his particular way of making the watercolor technique relatable to oils in order to establish the big look, also referred to as the smash of light. It is that approach we want to unveil in Sargent's arsenal of approaching the natural world. Characterizing light in painting poses a unique challenge, with various methods available for its depiction. However, Sargent distinctly gravitated towards capturing the all-encompassing brilliance of light in his works. White paper played a pivotal role in maintaining control over the evolving composition. This decision allowed him to apply darker tones in later stages, structuring the painting while carefully planning the interplay of light and shadow. Sargent's proficiency as a draftsman was foundational to his artistic prowess. Beginning as a brilliant draftsman, he adopted a disciplined practice of filling numerous notebooks with thousands of drawings. This meticulous approach aimed to achieve accuracy in rendering figures and prevent erroneous decisions in his painting process. His dedication to honing his skills through continuous practice laid the groundwork for his artistic success. The inherent challenge of correcting drawing errors, particularly when the hand does not respond as intended, underscores the demanding nature of Sargent's artistic drive. In atelier training, a common technique involves the rotation method, by correcting the furthest inaccuracies or addressing backstraggling elements. This systematic approach ensures the harmonious development of the entire composition, a valuable tool in Sargent's quest for precision and technical perfection. In the realm of watercolor, where transparency and delicacy are paramount, Sargent's meticulous planning and correction methods take on heightened importance. The challenges posed by watercolor demand careful consideration, and he was proficient in navigating these intricacies further, illustrating his mastery of diverse artistic mediums. Sargent's discipline is demonstrated in his continued interest in painting gardens and architecture. We see him carefully delineating the columns and arches very precisely. It was reported by the time he entered Carolus's atelier he was already a fine draftsman, so much so that when viewing his portfolio, Durand, with the class looking on, observed drawings depicting every vein of a leaf as they clustered together cascading on a wall. This tightly rendered early style is perhaps the best way to start an artist's career. Training, the eye to record all very thoughtfully and truthfully. This was something Durand would use to help formally teach him how to grasp the larger aspects of nature with broad characterization, avoiding superfluous details. All this is a part of the sound practice of sight-size working, an exercise that became popular throughout Europe and becoming popular again today. As cited earlier, it is interesting to see the general lay-in of his working style with the broad play of light flowing over the forms, as if not to be encumbered by individual forms of the figure or other aspects of a subject that are not adding to the whole. This simplification says it all very agreeably. He seems to apply the same flowing mechanism in his technique to oils, as we shall see. The oil washes in his unfinished portraits show this approach quite well. Sargent is quoted to have stated he departed from Durand's method over time, by simplifying the procedure even further by making his process all in one. In the unfinished Wertheimer portrait seen here beside the Flora Priestley portrait, shows his wonderful approach to pulling out of the mist, so to speak, the forms. Mr. Gamble, the American artist and instructor, would comment that it is an altogether sound approach, and one James McNeill Whistler used many times. With Sargent, his modus operandi made it all look seamlessly unified. Friends and family are a recurring subject in Sargent's work that proved expedient as well as convenient. They are usually resting or otherwise leisurely posed. It makes more sense in light of the fact that many of them were painted while he was away from the stressful demands of portrait commissions. He was allowed to explore anything that caught his eye, and frequently it was anything from rocks in mid-stream, or a sun-dappled hut, or happening upon the busy activity of quarrymen working away cutting stone, of which he did several works in watercolor and oils. It is interesting to note his frequent use of blues and ochreish tones in many of his pictures, for a swift colour harmony being judicious and very practical, for the immediacy he must act upon to seize the moment at hand. Then we have his pictures of compatriot friends in the field working away with their own landscaping efforts, a wonderful way to pass the time. Able to compare stories and pictures, and discuss the daily problems perhaps with the flies and mosquitoes about, something we may not think of when seeing the end result of a work of art in a gallery, away from the field. Then we have the well-known painting of Paul Hello sketching with his wife, a masterpiece of colour and spotting of the crisp bright hats of Paul Hello and his wife, not to mention the brilliant modelling of his wife's face and the delicate subtle colouring in shadow neath the brim. In other pictures, we find Sargent quite at home in a stall or courtyard, doing the occasional composition of a horse or donkey, obviously willing to have their portraits painted. His obvious skill in anatomy is here too. Goats are not off topic either, and some of the more charming landscapes of pastures and glens he has painted with the herd feeding and clearing the land as they graze. Last but not least, there is the difficult architectural scenes Sargent frequented with his brush. Some of Venice and others of Spain or some other locations, so he was never at a loss as to what to paint. He is said to have admonished students to simply look for a spot to paint. Have a seat and paint, be curious and unafraid. Try whatever is in front of you. Stay curious, whether in watercolor, oil paint, or the humble pencil sketch. He took his own advice seriously. To think he would depart from the duties of portrait commissions with their demands and needs, to please a spoiled clientele, then close up shop, head for the summer escape, and continue to keep at it. not wavering but with youthful energy set about to relax and paint more, many of them solely for his own private interest and collection. Finally, we couldn't help ourselves in this presentation, but wanted to take a look at some of the prodigious drawings by Sargent, of the most remarkable skill. His many drawings that have been seen over the internet and or at galleries are beyond wonderful. He has the delicate touch that, as in watercolor, we have already observed there is the veil of light he captures so well with charcoal or with pencil on paper. His accuracy and ability to characterize the sitter is truly marvelous. The sureness of combined technique and animated expressions are wonders to see. While some critics of the past have decried him for being without sympathy toward his sitters, we find he was spot on. He could render Ellen Terry or the actor Joseph Jefferson with all the charm of personality one could ask, while not being the least bit sappy. So we end this look at Sargent's unique approach, we found to be his own, able to display the flow of light with great skill and powerful effect, embracing the bathed in light that can be so difficult to paint. As we conclude this presentation, we want to thank you, our subscribers, and ask that you leave a like, as it will help the channel to grow and permit us to share many more artists, some well-known and some less well-known, but well-deserved. We have a new era that once again longs to see real talent at work and hidden gems of art that have been waiting to see the light of day, or at least in galleries again, have a debut. So thank you until next time. It's bye for now.